I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
I'm Bobby the Brain Heenan.
And I have no idea what the hell we're doing here.
Does he ever?
Huh. Gene, we're recording a promo for a podcast.
What the hell is that?
It's a show where...
Promo, that's where you hype something.
Why don't you be serious?
He asked.
Oh, Heenan, damn it, I know what a promo is. What the hell is a podcast?
It's a show where people, they talk into microphones, usually from their house.
Naked, too.
Stop it.
So, why do they do that?
I'm not sure, really.
Definitely not for the money.
Huh.
Oh.
You better believe it.
So, what's this one called?
Let me see. The Hot Tag Podcast.
Whoopee.
Does anyone listen to this?
Well, I don't know. I'm sure
the government is testing it as an alternative to the chair.
Will you stop that? That's not nice.
Oh.
It's illegal in 11 states.
Quiet. And welcome to the Hot Tag Podcast.
They're not really naked, are they?
I certainly hope not.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show. That's George Rogers. I am Chris DiFrancesco. And it's funny. I never thought I'd be probably doing a show like this when we first started doing the show a long time ago. Today is probably, one of the most somber days if you're a pro wrestling fan, or even if you're just a cultural entertainment fan, for that matter. I don't have a script. I don't have anything planned out here. That's not how I do business. That's not how I do things here. George knows that. He doesn't get an outline from me on any show that we do. This is just Chris and George, pro wrestling fans, kids at heart when it comes to professional wrestling. Since I know and I'm sure I'll tell the story. George knows it, but most people here might not. No, I've been a wrestling fan since 1990, and I know that year. I remember watching WrestleMania 6. I vividly remember watching WrestleMania 6 in 90. I remember being, in my Aunt Nancy, who got me into wrestling. If it wasn't for her, she was actually the first person I called today when the news dropped. And I remember being in her basement in Northeast Philadelphia, right off of Academy Road, in the basement, reading all of her WWF magazines, which she still has, by the way. And hopefully one day she passes all of those to me. That would be amazing. And she tells me the story. I was 4 years old. And she tells a story where she goes, I pointed to the man in red and yellow on the cover. And I said, "Who is that?" And she said, "That's Hulk Hogan." And I said, "Oh, I want to marry Hulk Hogan." But just an awful day, George. The greatest professional wrestler, a cultural icon, not just in pro wrestling, but arguably, heck, I'll say it, I think he might have been one of the most famous people on earth in the 1980s. Hulk Hogan, man. Terry Bollea dead at age 71 early this afternoon. George, I know you usually start off the Multiverse Movie Podcast in, did you see this movie in theaters? Where were you at this time? Where were you, man, when you heard the news about Hulk Hogan?
Well, anybody who listens to the Multiverse Movie Podcast will know exactly where I was. Mm-hmm. When I got the news, because we were recording today. Dean and I lately have been recording on Thursdays because it's been my day off from work, and it's an easier time for the two of us to record. And we were getting ready to record our review for Dark Man, which also has an Ozzy Osbourne tribute to it as well, who passed away 2 days ago. We're all still kind of feeling the effects of that. Mm-hmm. Especially those of us who are metal fans and are in kind of like the metal scenes. Like, we lost, we essentially we lost like our leader, mm-hmm. In those aspects. And then you sent the text to the group of myself and Dean saying Hogan died. So we literally found out in real time while we were recording the episode for Dark Man. So our genuine like first time hearing the news responses are on this week's episode of Multiverse Movie Podcast. So like you guys will, so for those of you who do listen to that, you'll hear our kind of instant reactions to the news of Hogan passing. And it's one of those things where like, it's like, we kind of muscled through it and we did, and we recorded our episode. And then, we obviously did our Ozzy tribute afterwards and was not planning on, or like, even when I woke up this morning, I didn't know I was going to have to do a Hulk Hogan tribute episode.
Yeah.
As well.
It's crazy. And, for many of us, we were in a way late to the party of Hulkamania. I think a lot of people, maybe some of our audience who are younger than us, maybe, even those in their 20s, even, it took both of us probably a long time into the 90s to kind of realize that, Hulkamania wasn't really necessarily a WWF creation. I mean, this guy was mainstream in 1982 when he was on Rocky III as Thunderlips. That was kind of when he really started to become mainstream. Hulkamania, he was on Johnny Carson in 1982 talking about, Hulkamania and Hulk Hogan being, starting to take over the nation. And then once we get to WWF and, WrestleMania 1 and Rock and Wrestling, all that stuff. I mean, he was it. I mean, to say the words "he was it" sometimes gets glossed over, in today's just ridiculous. Everyone's great, everyone's a legend. No, everyone's a legend maybe in certain people's eyes, and then you say the name Hulk Hogan.
If everyone's a legend, then nobody really feels special.
Right. But that's not Hulk Hogan. I mean, he was the first, he was no doubt the first mainstream megastar in pro wrestling sports entertainment. He was the face of what Vince McMahon envisioned in pro wrestling, becoming sports entertainment, becoming a global juggernaut. And sometimes people could say one is nothing without the other. Any promoter can have a vision, right, George? Any promoter can say, we're going to do this. I want to do that. If you don't have the right piece of the puzzle that's able to execute that vision and that plan for you, it's just talk.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan is the reason that Vince McMahon and the WWF became global. Vince gave Hogan the platform. That's great and all, but it could have just failed. I mean, it could have just fell by the wayside. They found he picked the guy he hoped for the best. He ended up finding the biggest icon, the biggest name in wrestling history. And Hulk Hogan, again, passed away earlier this afternoon from cardiac arrest at 71 years old. The last the last 2 weeks, George, have been just really weird. Bubba the Love Sponge, as of a POS as the guy can be. I mean, he kind of nailed this truthfully from the start when he said that Hulk's in bad shape, like really bad shape. Then you had people like Jimmy Hart and Hulk Hogan's wife or widow now, unfortunately, saying, oh, he's fine. There's some complications from the surgery that he had. And, Bubba the Love Sponge was adamant that, look, I don't know what others are telling you, but I'm just going to be honest and say he's in deep trouble. And it unfortunately ended up being the case. Hulk, they haven't really seen him around the past month or so. I'm assuming the posts on social media were ones that were, shot a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. But nonetheless, George, man, the last 2 weeks have been really weird with the news about Hulk. And then all of a sudden, boom, today, he's gone.
I know when I was seeing the posts or like the repost, because I don't follow Bubba the Love Sponge, because why would I?
Why? Yeah, why?
Like Why would anybody, essentially? I mean, just like you, Chris, I think the guy is a total fucking nut job and just a giant POS. But so I didn't take anything he said seriously. I'm like, oh, because I didn't think that they were even still in any sort of terms concerning everything that went down. I didn't know that they still talked or they were close or anything like that. I assumed like once that whole thing where like Hulk banged his wife and it ended up being a whole issue, 10 years ago. I assumed they were just that was it. Like there was nothing. So whenever Bubba was saying, I thought he was just posting shit out of like sour grapes, just like taking a shot for taking a shot. Like I hate even just giving him the credit, but it's like, yeah, he was right. He was right in this scenario. But it's not something. I mean, with Ozzy going and now with Hulk on, those are two like giant pieces of my childhood.
Yeah,
that are like now gone. Like Hogan is a big one. I mean, he's the reason why we're wrestling fans. There's
no doubt.
There is no way around it. You can have your favorites. It's fine. Your favorite may not be Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is not my favorite. Hulk Hogan isn't Chris's favorite.
Nope.
But the reason why we can watch Monday Night Raw and Nitro and SmackDown and Thunder, the reason why we could watch all of those shows growing up is strictly because of this guy. Yes, like he did not come up with the concepts of a primetime wrestling show, but the business never would have gotten to that point where it was getting primetime TV spots if it wasn't because of Hogan's influence. He brought eyes to the product. WrestleMania was the biggest gamble of all time for Vince McMahon. And it paid off. Because of Hulk Hogan. You can say what you want. And let me tell you, I've been on Twitter and I don't listen. Cards on the table. Yes, Hulk Hogan is a racist POS. But we aren't wrestling fans without him.
That's right. That's right.
And yet it's what people are like, oh, well, I'll remember. I'm seeing people like the negative shit. It's like, for 5 fucking minutes, can the IWC just put their tiny cocks back in their fucking pants and stop grandstanding? It's like, oh, well, he's a racist. I don't like him. Let me fucking tell you something. Let me fucking tell you guys something straight. Every fucking wrestler that we have watched and loved from the 80s and into the 90s, guess what? They're probably fucking racists. I hate to break that to you. There's a reason why Ron Simmons told The Godfather not to go to WCW. There's a very good reason for that. And he even said
Southern wrestling promotion is racist?
Yeah. Oh my God. Shit. If you think I'm wrong, just go and watch Road Wild from 96 on Peacock. And you listen to that crowd reaction when Harlem Heat comes out. So don't fucking tell me that so don't grandstand about how, Hogan was racist. They fucking all were. For the most part. Because it was the time. It was the time. I mean, I'm not excusing it. Racism is still shitty regardless. But I hate to break it to you, Ric Flair is probably a racist.
Probably, yeah.
The entire Horseman, probably, definitely.
Right?
Not Dusty probably wasn't.
Okay.
Dusty got an invite to the cookout. But like a lot, I mean, Sean probably a little bit. Like, shit, we know Vince was.
Yeah.
So I hate to really break it to you. I really hate to break it down to you guys. Like, if being a racist is the worst thing that Hogan is, then let's just fucking take it at that. Because it could be like that other fucking jerk off that died this year, Pete Rose, who was,
basically a pedophile.
Yeah, gambling on sports, but it's one thing to send bets to your bookie. It's another thing to have your fucking bookie bring you underage girls.
Yeah.
So go fuck yourself. At least somebody wasn't bringing underage girls to Hogan's dressing room.
Right.
But I'm not
right.
but I'm not excusing. But that's all that like the IWC has been doing. It's like, oh well, he was a piece of shit and he ruined. It's like whatever he ruined, he also built up at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the politicking was horrible. And like, and we see and especially since we've been reviewing the Monday Night Wars, when we've been doing these early nitros, you can see when it's an episode when Hogan's on, an episode when Hogan isn't on. Like, it's clearly night and day.
Yeah.
But the guy died today. Just kind of stick it in your pocket for a minute.
Yeah, just for a minute.
And just kind of let people grieve, let people mourn, if you will. This is a big part of childhood for everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm sure people probably say the same thing. Oh, well, Pete Rose is, yeah, well, everything that came out about Pete Rose kind of makes me take back. It's like, yeah, you're the greatest hitter of all time, but you're also probably on the Epstein list. I guarantee Pete's name is on it. You're not going to tell me otherwise. But like Hogan is just like, it's hard because we're doing this on the hip. We're doing this off the hip. I have like no time to even prep and prepare for it. But it's just like just put it in your pocket for 24 hours.
Yeah.
And just let people kind of grieve, let people mourn.
Yeah.
Don't go out of your way to sit there and be like, oh, he was a piece of shit. Good, let him fucking go. It's like, all right, well, let you go too then, because some people this is hitting hard.
Yeah. It still hasn't processed, for me much. I mean, when I watch some Hogan stuff tonight, I'm sure, and it'll hit me. And it's like one of those guys where, we probably thought that of Ozzy. It's like, God, these guys are going to live forever. Like they're going to outlive us.
And when you look at all, and when you look at all the shit that they did, especially Ozzy, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, dude had pockets full of everything.
Right.
And like he basically had to be tricked into going to Betty Ford to go to Betty Ford. I catch your drift, Dean. He's crying from his mouth. His pants mouth. But I mean, and with Hogan, we know it's, steroids and God only knows what else is being passed around in that locker room. I know he was, train, say your prayers, take your vitamins, but I don't know all the vitamins that Hulk was taking.
Bro, we've seen those promos. There's a lot more than vitamins going on there, man.
I mean, especially when you look at all the wrestlers from his time, from his era that aren't around anymore, and there's more gone than there are still alive. Like you can't say that stuff like that probably didn't contribute. Yeah, but it's almost shocking that he got to at least 71.
I know.
Dean, you're
that's
right.
You're right. So, I mean, I look at it this way, and Pete Rosenberg's his name, right? He was on ESPN.
Oh, Pete Rosenberg. I thought you mentioned Pete Rose again. I'm like, he's dead.
No.
He's had nothing. He has nothing to contribute.
Sorry. Pete Rosenberg, not
Rosenberg.
Pete Rose. Was on ESPN. He was on Sports Center. They wanted to ask him what the impact and his first initial reaction to the death of Hogan was, and of course he talked about the greatness and what he and Vince McMahon built. And I thought the most poignant thing that I've heard still to this moment, the broadcaster for ESPN said, given all the issues and the negativity around Hulk Hogan the last decade, what's his legacy going to be? And I thought he said the greatest thing that I've heard so far. And he said Hulk Hogan's legacy, regardless of what's happened the last decade or so, ultimately Hulk Hogan's legacy is going to be everything that we're watching right now. Anything, any television deal, any licensing deal, any record attendance, any record that's set with merchandising, a Netflix deal, a USA deal, this Fandango deal. That's Hulk Hogan. That's the influence of what Hulk Hogan built on a global level. It wasn't some dinky AWA place in the, down in Atlanta, or it wasn't even when
wasn't the Omni.
It wasn't
Cow
the
Palace.
Omni, the Cow Palace. It was the fact that if you look at Madison Square Garden right now, they have a gigantic sign that's almost covering a quarter of the building honoring Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God, that's great.
He's global. He is the face of an entire sport and entertainment industry. And I say this before, my uncle Anthony, who's 95 years old, he has Alzheimer's. He's in a home in Philadelphia. I'll never forget this. He doesn't know anything about wrestling. I mean, at all. When he could tell you the starting lineups from like the 1935 Phillies, but he couldn't tell you one thing about pro wrestling. And I remember about 20 years ago, maybe even less than that, we were at a family party, and he was there, and he heard my Aunt Nancy and I talking about The Undertaker. He thought I was he honestly asked us, do you guys know an Undertaker that lives around here? And we're like, oh, no. He's a wrestler. And he goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. And we said Hulk Hogan. And my Uncle Anthony, without batting an eye, without skipping a beat, said, oh, he's that wrestling guy. That's when it clicked for me. When I mentioned to him, we said the names Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, not a clue in the world. Thinking like maybe this is like a toy, like the name of a toy, like a toy that you could be buying somewhere. But the second you say Hulk Hogan, that's when it clicks. And I think that, to me, when I realized the impact of Hulk Hogan's name value is, I think obviously now it's all different. I think obviously the Stone Cold Steve Austins, who I think is going to be forever the absolute closest to Hulk Hogan that the wrestling industry will ever see. But let's all remember again, I'm going to say this, Hulk Hogan main evented the first 9 WrestleManias, the first Saturday Night's main event, the first WWF main event, the first WCW Nitro, the first Survivor Series, first SummerSlam. He main evented the first televised event in the United Kingdom. He was the last WWF champion and the first WWE champion. People don't remember that. So this guy, man, and not to mention, since we are doing the Monday Night Wars every week, this dude changed the industry twice, 2 different companies, one as a heel and one as a babyface, which will never be done again. So, and I just, that's where I got the idea, to me, is you can mention anybody else in the world of any wrestling. I can go up to anybody right now in China or Japan or Hong Kong and say, hey, do you know The Undertaker, or do you know Shawn Michaels? And they would probably look at me like I have no idea who you're talking about.
Well, the people in Japan will definitely know who you're talking about.
All right, I'm sorry if I'm in Denmark,
especially if you're near the Tokyo Dome,
right?
But Meltzer's head will pop out of a fucking manhole. You guys talking wrestling? It's like, oh, I knew you lived down there.
But you say Hulk Hogan to anybody in the world, even today, they're going to know who he is.
Yeah,
good or bad. They're going to know what he's associated with, and that's wrestling. And George, I mean, the impact is unbelievable. I mean, it truly is. Like even the guys that he had heat with, supposedly, like the Steve Austins of the world, they've come out and they've made statements about his impact. The Undertaker even said, the impact of Hulk Hogan is immeasurable. And it just, no one will ever come close to it. And the Undertaker, as we know, just can't stand the guy. But, real recognizes real when it comes to Hogan. And, dude, it was hard reading all these things. I mean, it was hard watching Ric Flair on TMZ today talking about Hulk Hogan and crying and talking about how
Flair crying, no way.
I know. Hogan, Flair talking about the Hogan that people just didn't get to see, how when Ric Flair was in the hospital a few years back with a 2% chance of living, everybody said the first person to walk through that door was Hulk Hogan and never left his side.
Yeah.
And for years, everyone thought Hogan and Flair hated each other. But, and then apparently when Ric Flair was having troubles financially, shocker again.
No, what?
And he needed help paying for, I think he said he needed help paying for Reed's, not funeral, like rehab stints.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan stepped in and paid for all of it.
Oh, wow. And
didn't ask for anything in return. And just said, if you need me for anything with your family, just ask. He doesn't, don't pay me back. Just whenever you need help, just help. And it sucks that these are the stories that people are going to gloss over. The good man that he was, and people hate, and we make fun of guys like Brutus Beefcake and John Tentas of the world and the Zeuses, or the Macho Mans. We talk about him going to WCW and stuff like that. Regardless of what we think that they don't belong, except for Macho, regardless of the fact that some of these guys are like, oh God, they're just Hogan's boys. If you're one of Hogan's boys, that's a guy looking out for you, trying to make sure you have a living.
Yeah.
And that's, again, those are things that we'll make fun of because, seeing the booty man on television makes me sick. But if I'm Brutus Beefcake, I'm like, this dude's helped me have a life for 20 years when I wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
And so you think in a little bit, George, as much as we do know that Hogan, had a pretty rough, a pretty rough go the last 15 years and all in his own doing. Mm-hmm. But, just to remind everybody, when we all wake up every day, we're not Jesus. We're not perfect. We make mistake after mistake on a hourly basis. So, it sucks seeing how judged guys like even Ozzy are, or guys like Hogan. Do you kind of get a little irked, George, that the IWC is taking over a lot of the internet with all the negative stuff? And it's like, are we going to completely gloss over that? You're going to only mention the negative, but not thank him for the reason that you even pay attention to wrestling?
Here's the thing with most of the IWC. And whereas, yes, as much as we hate to admit it, as much as we hate to say it to ourselves, we are a part of the IWC.
Oh, for sure.
On social media, we follow all the posts. Granted, Chris and I do have lives outside of social media.
Yes.
Chris does have a family and he does have a job. I do have a job and I do have other outside interests as well. I do not live my life vicariously through trying to get engagement on Twitter.
No.
Mainly because I think Twitter is an absolute cesspool.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to call it X. I refuse to call it X. That's just stupid. X is cool. X is like DX, not a dumb fucking toxic ass social media site that somehow I can't get rid of. Yeah. Because I'm there. That's how I find out a lot of things, like spoilers for stuff. Like if I can't get, like if I'm going to be out somewhere and I'm going to miss an episode of Raw, or I'm going to miss SmackDown, or if I want to know what's going on in AEW, I follow them or I'll listen to those things because that's how I get my updates. That's how I know what's going on without having to type in Raw results for blah, 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 blah. Because I'll get like this day, but I'll get 5 years ago because Google is retarded.
Yeah. I would like for Nerd Boy to provide facts that Ozzy was a nice person. So please let me know of your personal experiences with him.
I'll tell you, Ozzy was a nice person. But I also know a lot of Ozzy's issues were things that happened when he was under the influence. And he himself has even said that. Like there was time Ozzy was on God Only Knows, and he apparently can always count on Dean for a Bob's and Vagine comment. But I mean, like there was a story where like Ozzy was ripped on God only knows, and he apparently shot all of his animals in his house, and like Sharon found him under the piano in his house holding a gun. So it's like a lot of Ozzy stuff was, or anything he did was when he was under the influence. But everything I've read so far, Ozzy was a genuinely nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Hogan, we know where he stands with how he feels about certain types of people. I mean, it goes back. We are aware that Hogan is a racist. We know Hogan is a racist. I did this rant. You should have been listening 15 minutes ago when I said all this instead of just saying it now.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to repeat myself. Just rewind the fucking video, then come back to it live.
Yeah,
If you missed something, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit. I clearly don't. But the stories that you just said about like Hogan being at bedside with Flair when Flair only had a 2% chance of living.
Yeah.
We're not going to hear that story. We're going to hear, oh, Hogan said the ultimate punishment would be if he was reincarnated as a black guy after he dies. It's like, okay, that's what we're going to go to. It's because these jerk-offs in the IWC, they live for the engagement on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Their biggest thrill of their day is having somebody retweet some bullshit that they said.
Yep.
Like,
I agree.
For me, my biggest thrill of the day is getting through a day at work where I didn't tell somebody to go fuck themselves. Like, that's a bonus.
Right.
Chris, I'm sure your highlight of the day is when your kids come home from school and they haven't contracted an illness from somebody else.
Oh, that's a victory.
That's a victory. That's a small victory. You get them where you can, you know. Like Dean, his biggest thrill is that when he takes that third shit of the day, he gets a good clean wipe out of it. It's you know, we have like the little things that we look forward to in our day, but these idiots on the IWC, they don't have that. That's all they have.
Yeah.
But positive remarks don't get engagement. Negative remarks will, because somebody like you or me will go and I'll comment something back, and then he knows. Like somebody like us will go and comment something back. Dean, who just commented here, had a nice little reply to somebody on Twitter, which unfortunately was flagged. And I don't understand why. He didn't say anything different that he doesn't normally say. But it's the negative engagement that a lot of these people look for when they post stuff, because they want somebody to counter them. They want them to say something else so they can go back and they can be like, I just gave it to somebody on Twitter today. And then their mom was like, that's great, hon. Your feety pajamas are in the dryer. So that's all they have. So that's what they're going to go to. So we're not going to hear the good stories about Hogan. We know the good stories about Hogan. I mean, if you've seen any DVD of him, especially the ones that when WB was on just a tear of releasing DVDs, like 16 a fucking year from like in like the early to mid 2000s. You remember they were just putting a DVD out every like 3 of them a month. It was insane. Like, oh, here's the Chris Benoit story, and here's the Rey Mysterio story, and here's another Hogan one. Like we were getting so much at one point. Mm-hmm. So there are these stories about Hogan being a nice guy. Politics aside for what he did backstage, going through that doesn't work for me, brother, stuff like that. But like his boys, he looked out for. Brutus probably could have been dead.
Oh my God.
By now.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for somebody like Hogan just kind of being there.
Yeah.
Just looking
right.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Knobbs is another one. We don't know,
Gosh, that's right. Brian Knobbs. Jeez.
Because Knobbs and Hogan were tight. Always were. I mean, he was on like every episode of Hogan Knows Best because they're like neighbors are right next to each other. Mm-hmm. But it's like the good stories are not going to get glossed over, are going to get glossed over because everyone wants to focus on the negative. Everyone's so negative now. I mean, I'm the same way too. I mean, I will be the first to admit that I am extremely negative most of the time. Yeah. But when somebody dies, you're not going to think of the bad stuff. You're going to try and think of the good memories. Mm-hmm. When a family member dies, you don't like look down at like Uncle Joe and you're like, this guy fucking gave me a flat beer once. Piss on him. Like you're going to look back and be like, oh, like he got me this for Christmas one year and I didn't ask for it, but he knew I liked it. You think of the good, memories, or it's always going to think of the good memories. Yeah. You want to be negative later, be fucking negative later.
Right.
But there's still some good there. I mean,
Of
like,
course.
we knew he wasn't a complete piece of shit.
Right.
If he was a complete piece of shit, nobody would want to work with him, Jim Hellwig. But, I mean, that's your contrast right there.
Yeah.
I mean, Hogan was money. Warrior was money. Problem is, Warrior was a fucking prick.
Yeah.
So nobody wanted him. Hogan.
It's a good point by
Yeah.
Dean. Dean says, I don't even know why people
point.
should care so much about backstage politics. He didn't screw us over. All the biggest stars had and have egos and screwed people over.
Absolutely right. Chris, your favorite of all time, Shawn Michaels, was an absolute menace backstage.
Yeah.
With that, you know, holding people down and the whole click thing. You know, we know that. Like, that's a fucking given. That
and it was admitted.
And Shawn admits it.
Yeah.
And Nash admits it. Triple H, they all they don't hide who they are. Like, the thing with Hogan is we still will never really get a straight answer. Yeah, you're right. Oh, it was you that wrote that, you shit. I thought that was Dean again.
No, that was me.
That was you. I'm glad you're watching your own. Yeah.
I am.
He's doing the
That's right.
He's doing the dance with the shuffle, yeah.
Shawn was such an asshole.
So it was just like, it's like, I don't even know where I was going because, like, I got thrown off with the Hulk Hogan thing, but, like, Hogan couldn't have been that much of a piece of shit if people still wanted to work with him.
Of course.
I mean, yeah, was probably a bit of, I mean, yeah, he was a problem politicking backstage with some people, but genuinely people did like working with him.
Yeah, it was money.
It wasn't like you know, he wasn't, you know, shunned from the locker room, and he wasn't, you know, just being an absolute prick backstage to everybody like Warrior.
Yeah.
Or like anybody else who had like an overly inflated ego and was just kind of throwing their shit around, you know, in the locker room. But like Hogan probably was, I mean, it was probably somewhat of a genuine guy to work with. So a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, you know, were Taker and Sting or like posting stuff like that. Like, they're putting their personal feelings aside because they know it's like, you know what? This guy wasn't that bad to work with. And especially for someone like Taker who got to thrive in WWE, you know, if Hogan doesn't become Hogan, Taker doesn't have a job.
Nope.
I'm not saying like Taker wouldn't get signed by WWE, but WWE may not have even been around to sign him.
I mean, if you don't have Hulk Hogan, do you even have WrestleMania 2? I mean, it's like this is the
if you don't have Hulk Hogan, do you have WrestleMania 1? Because Hulkamania technically started in '83.
You're right. You're right.
When he beat Sheiky Baby, who I'm sure right now is popping a bottle of champagne wherever he is.
Yeah, you're right.
He's either he's either up in wrestling heaven or he's down in hell giving the business to the devil. It's like, no, fuck you, Baba. I torture you. It's like,
I'll make you humble. Put you in the camel.
I break your fucking back, you devil piece of shit. I choke you with a tail. Fuck you in the ass. That's my Sheiky. Yeah. I miss him. I am disappointed that Sheik went first because I would have loved to have seen what he would have tweeted out.
Right.
He's allowed to be negative because he's the Sheik. Sheik's got credit. He's done his time.
He has.
Especially blow drying his mustache at 4:00 in the morning, waking Undertaker up out of a dead sleep.
Oh God!
Nah, Bob, right. I make the mustache good.
But you know, it's funny that we all, you know, Vince after all those times started calling everybody WWE superstars, and like to me, the definition of superstar in that industry is Hulk. You know, he was a global sensation.
He's the legitimate superstar.
Yeah, and like, you know, let's not remember just he inspired millions and millions and millions of people to work hard at whatever it was they wanted to accomplish, and it made him recognizable on a global status. And you know, whether he was red and yellow Hogan or he went to the WCW and was the red and white, he was just iconic, man. Like, I wish I could have better words, but I mean, because we've literally destroyed the words iconic and legendary and great to where it doesn't mean much when you say it. But I'm trying to emphasize the fact that, you know, Michael Jordan, true icon, Muhammad Ali, icon, Babe Ruth, icon. this guy, Hulk, is in that conversation of cultural icons. He's just someone whose name is going to be synonymous forever with entertainment and pro wrestling. That's not going to change.
Yeah. And we always talk about, especially now, or especially in the past few years, everyone likes to do like a Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And we've done it,
We've talked about this. Yep.
It's like, who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to change it. I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on it. I'm taking Hogan off of my Mount Rushmore because when you think about it, nobody goes off. Nobody even gets credit to be on Mount Rushmore if Hulkamania doesn't take off, if the business doesn't explode because of him. So in that aspect, Hogan is the mountain.
Yes.
Hogan is the mountain, and you're putting the faces on him.
I agree. And Dean, you and I have talked about this before live on the air too. If I'm talking to a wrestling fan and I ask him the question, which us wrestling fans always ask, like, who's on your Mount Rushmore? And I ask for a serious one. I always ask, like, not, who are the best workers of all time or the best technicians. Right now, if I ever asked a wrestling fan, who's on your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling of all time? If their first answer is not Hulk Hogan, the credibility is gone. I don't even want to hear anything else. The first name should always be, the answer should always be, Hulk Hogan first and foremost. No doubt. I don't care what he did, blah, blah, blah. He transcended the industry. He's bigger than the industry. Hulk Hogan is one. Everyone, the next three, you can just literally mix match all of them. There's a bunch of people you can mix it up with. But if you don't start with Hulk Hogan, to me, I can't have a conversation with you.
And I'm sure, like any wrestling historian will, although I'm sure precisely zero of them fucking listen to us. But they'll say,
Lupez.
They'll say, like, guys like, oh, well, these guys were great and and got popular in the business. It's like, but it was never Hogan was the guy to help get through that, to essentially break that glass ceiling.
Yeah.
To get wrestling out of the barns and into the stadiums.
Yeah.
This went from being a carnival sideshow act to this is a major sporting event akin to the Super Bowl and the World Series and the Stanley Cup playoffs, or I'm sorry, the Stanley Cup finals. Like, it's a major event. Like, wrestling shows are just as big as sporting events, if not more popular in some markets.
Absolutely. The NFL isn't global.
I will guarantee you right now, 1,000% that WWE is more popular in Atlanta than the Braves are right now. I will guarantee that I'll guarantee that all day. I'm a Braves fan, and I am fucking massively disappointed in what this team has done this year. Right. But all I can do is, just like anything else, I just wait till the next year and see what happens. But wrestling is all year. So, like, that doesn't have seasons. They're not off for 4 months and then they come back. They do this shit all the time. So, like, Hogan, I mean, we always laugh when he says he's, I was at 400 days a year, and there's not 400 days because he's kind of near national date line, blah, 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 whatever. But either way, Hogan was still on the road almost like a year, like 300, almost 350 days a year. Those guys on the road.
Yeah.
And he did all of this, for us, and got us up there, and then, for fans, and we all bought into it. We made him who he is. But you can't just you can't just go throw your ball behind somebody. They clearly didn't. I mean, clearly it was tried and it failed. I don't want to go back to Sean again, but look what we're doing right now.
You're right. And that's a great point that Aaron's making. If you take all genres of anything, sports, entertainment, Hulk might be on that, might be a Mount Rushmore in terms of sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
Not many are global stars.
Let me ask you this, Chris.
Yeah.
while we're on this.
Thanks for listening, Aaron, or watching.
If Rocky 3 is a failure, like it is, and when I mean failure, I mean on par with Rocky 5 kind of failure. So if Rocky 3 is a fucking dud, and Hogan's like, you know what, this movie didn't really do what I thought it was going to, and he got like no praise, and he was just joked for it, and he decides not to go back to the movies. Does Piper ever go try to be an actor? Does The Rock ever go try to be an actor?
Yeah.
Think about like
even Undertaker was in Suburban Commando.
Yeah, you shut your
I love that movie so much.
Shut your slut mouth. Christopher Lloyd, that was his tribute that he put up.
I know.
Hogan.
See,
yeah. I love that his Twitter handle is like at Doc Brown. It's like, yeah. It's like I love you. I love you. I love Christopher Lloyd. I don't even care.
That's right.
But if Hogan doesn't show that wrestlers can act, and like Rocky 3 is a massive success, and he himself got praise for being Thunderlips, especially from Sly, which you're getting praise from Stallone in '83. Hey, that's as good as gold. At that point, Stallone's like one of the biggest fucking names in the world. And Hogan and Stallone's like, yeah, this guy is pretty good. Flying. And that's, Hogan crosses over. And like, think of all the wrestlers that went and became actors. Piper became an actor for a while. And some of his stuff is extremely good. They Live, How It Comes to Frogtown. Piper is fantastic in those. Stone Cold goes and becomes an actor. Obviously, he had a recurring role in Nash Bridges as Jake Cage. Some of the great fucking episodes. I believe that's streaming as well. Chris, if you want to watch Nash Bridge, I believe that's on Pluto.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, I mean, the Rock is one of the biggest actors in the world. That, if Hogan doesn't become a success, does The Rock ever become an actor? Batista. Like, these are all people who are now like massive movie stars, and they got their start in wrestling because of the door that Hogan opened. Hogan did movies, and it's like, hey, wrestlers can act too. And I'll do one maybe just a little bit better. Do you think they ever go to Andre the Giant for Princess Bride?
God, that's a great. What year was Princess Bride?
87.
Wow, so you're talking that's 5 years after Rocky 3, Hulkamania is taken off, WrestleMania is taken off. WrestleMania 3 happened already, correct? WrestleMania was 3.
Probably by this point. Well, yeah, it was 83. It was March of 83, so yeah.
Dude, I mean,
the movie is probably already made by that point, but.
Right, but still, I mean,
yeah.
At that point, WWF is, gigantic. So you're right. I mean, an argument can be said that he even helped Andre get a big spot. The notoriety, of course.
Yeah. I mean, like when you see it's like, oh, like the wrestlers can act too. It's like, all right, well, let's try this. Like, oh, my movie calls for a giant. Well, let me go see if I can get Andre for this. Or, oh, my movie needs a 7-foot tall Santa Claus. Let me go see this tall 7-foot guy who works in WCW.
Yep.
Let me see if he's a good fit for this. The Rock gets cast in the Scorpion King. From wrestling, he didn't do any acting before that.
No.
If Hogan doesn't show it can be done, then it doesn't get done.
You're right.
And Hogan showed that with going and becoming an actor, that the wrestling ring isn't the end all be all for these guys. Like, it's like, hey, you guys can do this after wrestling. Or if you want to become an actor, you can use the wrestling as your jump off point, which a lot of people have. To especially do or use that wrestling platform to jump off into something bigger that you want to do. If Hogan doesn't show it can be done, people aren't going to do it. If it's if it's a failure, then people are like, all right, well, we're not going to go look at wrestlers for roles anymore. Or if they go for an audition, it's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm also a professional wrestler. They're already going to have a stigma in their eyes. Oh, this guy isn't going to be good.
I totally agree. So yeah, this has been a really hard day for wrestling fans all around the world, regardless of your thoughts on the guy. George, a couple of your favorite Hulk Hogan moments, matches, segments, anything. Let's get that out. Let's get that to close things up.
Like when you talk favorites, I'll tell you one that's a personal favorite. It was in like, I can't think, I want to say maybe like 2005 or so. Like I went, or it had to be like 2000. It had to be like 2003. I went and saw like an episode of SmackDown in Philly, and Hogan was on the show.
Wow.
And he came out, and it was, I think it was actually before WrestleMania, because he was still Hollywood, because he came out in the black and the white to Voodoo Child. And he got to come out, and like Voodoo Child is playing, and it's just like this is a moment. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I finally got to see him live.
Yep.
For the first time, like with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like it was just a random episode of SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, to me, it was great. I mean, this is like for some people, it's like seeing the Beatles or like seeing Elvis. Like I got to see, the greatest. Like I got to watch him come down to the ring. He didn't have a match. He just did Hogan shit.
Yep.
But it was just great to be in the arena when that happened. Like that's one that sticks with me. Like moments wise, like the birth of the NWO.
Gosh, that's one of my top. That's my top three.
I mean, that's such a moment. And I'll even tell you, and this is something else too, and it's weird because it comes from such a let's just say divisive time in WCW's history, where like it's the New Blood against the Millionaires Club.
Yeah.
And like the Millionaires Club like beats up the New Blood in the parking lot, and they all come in the ring, and like Hogan stole the keys for the bus, and he comes out and he cuts this promo, and it's the most un-Hulk Hogan promo I'd ever heard. Mm-hmm. He comes out and it's like he's just shooting straight. Mm-hmm. And he's like there was no, let me tell you something, brother, or what you gonna do. Wasn't any of that shit. It was just, hey, we took the keys to your bus. You guys can't go anywhere. We're gonna spend the night beating the shit out of you. Mm-hmm. Essentially in those terms. But it was such a great promo. I'm like, this is the most un-Hulk Hogan thing ever. And then I look at it, I'm like, where was any of this before?
Yeah.
Like, you should have been doing this before. And like, yeah, like, I know you stick to what works because it's money, but you cut like a couple real promos every now and then. I mean, like, that's the shit people are going to remember.
I agree. And I guess for me, just a couple, and we'll go back and forth here. So the only time I ever got to see him live, and it was a shock, WrestleMania 35, and my buddy, one of my best friends, and I, Kyle Barone, we were at MetLife Stadium, and the show had just started, and Alexa Bliss, I guess, was hosting WrestleMania 35. I guess she was.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Dude. Out of nowhere, Real American hits. And like right now I want to be like The Rock, and I just want to start hitting my forearm because of goosebumps or whatever, but I'm not Dwayne.
You fucking
but shit. My buddy and I, we looked at each other like, oh my God, like Hulk Hogan's here. We get to see Hulk come out to Real American wearing red and yellow. And he was just there, doing his normal, what you're going to do when WrestleMania like runs wild on you. But like, again, to that 5 or 6 year old inside of us that were little Hulkamaniacs in 1990, 1991, 1992, it's like, holy shit, we're at WrestleMania and we're seeing Hulk Hogan come out. That's all that's all we needed. And it was, to me, that was, I mean, quite honestly, it was the highlight of the show. Looking back, but dude, like that, I mean, WrestleMania 18, I know it gets talked about, but I was watching that live in my living room in my parents' house at WrestleMania 18 in Toronto. And I remember my dad, who could care less about wrestling, was sitting down and he's watching the match. And he's sitting here telling me, he goes, why are they cheering Hulk Hogan? Like, he's the bad guy, right? I said, yep, he's supposed to be the bad guy. And The Rock is one of the biggest stars in the world right now. And it was unreal watching that crowd. Because one, the match wasn't good. Hulk, I think, even had like 2 broken ribs in that match. You know, you could just tell, you know, he couldn't move that well. But again, them 2 guys played to that crowd, and Hulk, being the ultimate professional, played to that crowd so well. To this day, it's the biggest pop I've ever heard in my life. It's the best crowd I've ever seen in my life. Dude, that WrestleMania 18 moment, I mean, tippy top for me. I would even say, I mean, I remember watching the Mega Powers explode. And that was so big because I wasn't a big Macho Man guy, but I loved Hulk. That was so cool. And then WCW. Again, I'm trying to tell everybody, like, I was born in 86. So Hulkamania was already, you know, basically 4 years deep by then. My basically real introduction to Hulk Hogan and what his star power I was able to understand was the NWO. Once the NWO hit and Hulk again was all over television all the time on TV Guide, for those of you who can remember TV Guides.
I missed the TV Guide.
Me too. He was everywhere. I mean, he was doing promos for television commercials with Dennis Rodman, and it was insane, the popularity. That's when I really started to understand like Hulk's influence. And then when he came back to WWE in the early 2000s, it's like, holy cow, the impact of this dude. And I just, it's hard to put into words, man. I don't like wrestling without first seeing Hulk Hogan on the cover of a magazine. That was my introduction to wrestling. Was Hulk Hogan on a magazine in a basement in a house in Northeast Philadelphia. And that was it. If I don't see that magazine because I was looking around a box of things, if I don't see that magazine, if I don't go on to a little table stand above my aunt's television and start playing with the Hulk Hogan figure and the Big Boss Man, I'm not sitting here today doing anything about wrestling. Wrestling changed, or not changed my life. It's impacted my life for 30 plus years. Instead of drinking and going out and doing drugs and doing all that stuff, I was always just at home watching Blockbuster rented tapes of pay-per-views that I missed a couple months prior. Like, that's how I spent I had a few friends that were my wrestling buddies, and that's what we did on weekends. If we weren't outside, we weren't like Dean going out and going to people's houses and drinking out of hoses. We were in our basements and we were tape trading. Man, that's what we were doing.
Man, what a fucking nerd you were. You weren't out like trying to smoke and like succumb to peer pressure.
Nope. Yeah. I was watching Shawn Michaels.
Chris is on his way to Blockbuster, and some rough '90s hoods comes up to him. He's like, "Hey man, you want to be cool? You got to smoke this cigarette."
And Chris back off me, Jack.
Chris is like, "Let me tell you something, brother. My buddy Hulk Hogan told me to say no to you," and then that bully was like, "Oh, hey man, be easy."
Well, my buddy Ultimate Warrior told me that you should do more.
My buddy Ultimate Warrior told me I don't know because he rambled when he spoke.
But like that, and as much as and I'll say this, my first wrestling match I ever saw was a Rockers match. So that's how I came to love Shawn Michaels. But again, that wasn't my initial introduction into wrestling. So obviously now as we get older and more technology and we find out more and more things, Hulk is a professional fabricator, but he lived his life in a bullshit business. So, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But I don't care what the guy says. He's Hulk Hogan, man. And he's your favorite wrestler's influence. Just remember that. Yeah. Know that your favorite wrestler today, whether it be, the Ortons or the Cenas or the, if you like indie stuff, the Matt Cardonas or the Dolph Zigglers and the Kevin Owenses, just remember they were all first Hulkamaniacs. Just always, I want people to always remember that. That's why, people, there's a company that I like called Baseballism, and they came out with a Ken Griffey Jr. line a few years ago. And it was a picture of Griffey on the front with his hat backwards, blowing a bubble. And on the back of the shirt, it says, your favorite player's favorite player. And I thought to myself, that's iconic. Because it's true. That's Hulk Hogan in wrestling. People, CM Punks and all that might hate the guy, but they were Hulkamaniacs. In some form or fashion, we all were. At one point or another, we gave a shit about that red and yellow. And then when that real American music hit, we were locked in.
Even I was reading, I forgot whose post it was on Instagram, but even Matt Jackson commented, and he goes, I wouldn't be a wrestler today if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan. So I guess we can blame Hogan.
Damn it.
Yeah, great. I'm glad he's gone.
You know what, Hulk? I take away everything I've said.
Yeah, this whole episode is all for nothing now. No, but it's like every wrestler you can think of, like right now, who's going at some point, whether they want to admit it or not, because it's not the cool thing. 15 years ago it would have been the cool thing. Oh yeah, I was a Hulkamaniac. After everything else, it's like maybe I wasn't. But whether you want to admit it or not,
yeah,
you were. They were. There really is no way around it. Unless your favorite wrestler happened to be around the exact same era as Hulk Hogan, then I can maybe say that. But even then, they'll probably say he was. Even then, they'll probably have something favorable to say for the most part. So, it's none of this gets to where it is now. Like, the show doesn't exist.
I agree.
Without Hulk Hogan. Without everything he did. My introduction to Hogan, surprisingly, was not wrestling.
Wow.
It was a little movie called No Holds Barred.
Oh my God, yeah.
Just for context.
Great movie.
Yes. I'm 40. This movie came out in 1989. I was 4. We was a little poor growing up.
We was a little poor.
We still are. That's hey, I've inherited it. How lucky for me. Yeah. But here's the thing, it wasn't the original, I went to the store, bought this VHS tape. It was recorded off the TV VHS tape. There was no Monday Night Raw in 89. You basically had superstars on Sundays if you could catch, or on Saturdays, if you could catch it in syndication. My mom was a Hogan fan. She recorded that because she liked the movie and she likes Hulk Hogan. She didn't do that for me.
Right.
I was 4. I was like 4 or 5. At that point in time, if it didn't have Ghostbusters involved with it, I really didn't give a shit. Or if it didn't have Ninja Turtles, I didn't care because I watched the cartoons. But she because she recorded that movie and because I watched it, I'm like, wow, who is this guy? And it's and the kid's like, oh, that's Hulk Hogan, and it's just like, wow, he's great. Mom was like, oh, he's a wrestler, and then from there, it's like, oh, hey, we'll watch this and see if Hulk Hogan shows up, and Hulk Hogan doesn't show up, but I get to see the mounting. It's like, oh, well, this is great. Good for me.
Yeah.
But, she became a wrestling fan because my grandfather watched wrestling, and he did. And that's a memory that I have with him is I would go over there during the summer and we would watch Nitro. He didn't want to watch WWE. He wanted to see what Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan were doing on Nitro. Or as he would say, I want to see who's dicking who over on the wrestling show. So it was, so that was, I got to see, I basically experienced Hollywood Hulk Hogan before Red and Yellow.
Right.
because of just because of that was how that was just what we watched. Like I said, we can all really only see superstars, and unless there was an episode of Hogan was on, I really wasn't going to see it.
Right.
By the time Monday Night Raw comes around 1993, Hogan's basically gone from the company. He's not on TV. He doesn't get back on TV again regularly until 1995.
That's right. You're right.
Unless you're getting the pay-per-views for WCW or you're watching WCW Saturday Night. So, I mean, I wasn't, but when I would watch Nitro with my grandfather, here comes Hollywood Hogan, his gaggle of, I'm not going to say the word that my grandfather said because all got canceled, but that's what he said. They're coming down, they're coming down, like, this Hogan, he's running his mouth again. Let's, like that was what I got to experience. And then I got to go back through like videotape and all that and discover the older stuff because my friend Paul, the one who always comments on here, he watched WWF. So I got to watch a lot of stuff through him. He had tapes. And, now it's like when we look at everything and we have all, because of the network and like YouTube and because of the era we're in now, we don't see anything Hogan related. All we got to do is just go to the search bar, type in Hulk Hogan. We'll get matches. We'll get top 10s. We'll get somebody bashing him. We'll get 10 people bashing him. We'll get Iron Sheik videos of where he's saying he's a motherfucker and he's going to fuck him in the ass with a beer bottle. Classic shit.
Like the kind of
I'm saying like we can see anything Hogan related now and just look at it with a fond memory of like, wow, like this was amazing.
Yeah. If people kind of put a little bit things in perspective on the popularity of Hulk Hogan and what he did for the wrestling industry, I want to take everybody back to February 5th, 1988. This was Saturday night's main event. This was the most famous match between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. This is the match where the WWF Championship was on the line. It ended with Andre winning the title because of the controversial twin referee angle. But
no. They used the referee to get plastic surgery to look like Dave Hebner because that was $1 Million Man paid for that. What are you fucking stupid?
I'm sorry, you're right.
My God. It's like you don't know your phony wrestling stories from 35 years ago.
I know. But the important part for all the kids to remember out there, 33 million people watched that episode of Saturday night's main event. It's still a record for a televised wrestling match. Now, to put that in perspective, everyone, where I'm going with this,
I think
more people watched this Hulk versus Andre wrestling match than watched this year's World Series, NBA Finals, and Stanley Cup Finals combined. Just remember, if anybody wants to not put Hulk Hogan first on the Mount Rushmore, just remember that even in 2025, Hulk Hogan will still outdraw you. So, and that was in 1988 when television and cable was not as accessible to everyone like it is in 2025.
Dave Meltzer would like to dispute you on that, saying, well, Chris, more people were watching the playoffs on streaming sites, so that rating doesn't really count in that aspect.
That's true, because 45 million people a week watch Dynamite on HBO Max.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, Dave, you stomach, you ass shit. I wonder what dumbass thing he said about it, because I'm sure it was something, I'm sure with him it was some sort of backdoor compliment, where it was like, oh, Hogan really was the greatest of all time in his era, or some shit like that.
So he actually did, I actually watched something on YouTube that popped up, he talked about a little bit. I mean, he said, he actually and he's a known Hulk hater, but he credited Hulk.
Don't say.
I know. He actually credited Hulk for the rise of the industry. He said, it's not Vince. He goes, it was Hulk. He goes, Hulk is the guy that's out there performing. Vince can, like I said in the beginning, Vince can write out a plan, but if the talent doesn't go out there and draw you in, you're not going to go anywhere. And he said, Hulk was Hulk. Even in WCW, he said, Hulk is Hulk. He goes, That's, nothing tops that. And it's incredible. And I want to say, people do say Steve Austin is great. And I understand that. Steve Austin, but I just remember everybody that Hogan did it for probably a good, 15 years straight on top in 2 companies. Austin had a run of maybe 4 years total. So, I'm just going to say, Austin is number 2. I would put Austin very comfortably at number 2. I just don't think it's Hulk level. I just don't think it can. It can't. So that's just how I feel, and nothing against Steve Austin. To be number 2 on that list is, again, and I don't think
Austin himself will probably put Hogan.
Oh, Austin has said before, he goes, for those of you that put me number 1, I was not Hulkamania. He said that on his podcast. He used to say, he goes, look, I might have my differences with Hulk, but I ain't Hulkamania. But look, it runs count, but I do want to say, I'm not disparaging Steve Austin, but he's going to be number 2 forever. Yeah. I don't know. There's not even the John Cena's or the Roman Reigns has main evented 10 WrestleManias in a row.
Like 4 with people like him though.
Right. That's a big deal. You're right. So that to me, man, you're 1 and 2 or you're 1 and 2. That's not going to change. It's just crazy, man. George, your final thoughts on Hulk Hogan?
There literally will never be another, because no company, actually anywhere in any sport, is going to let somebody become bigger than the business.
Mm-hmm.
And like Hogan is that guy. Hogan was bigger than the business. Everybody knew him on a global scale. Like I said, like my introduction to Hogan wasn't wrestling. It was a movie. It was a wrestling movie, but I didn't know what pro wrestling was.
Yeah.
I just knew this was a movie, and I didn't know who this guy was. My mom was like, oh, he's a wrestler. I'm like, well, what's wrestling? It's like, well, watch the movie and you'll see what wrestling is. Boy, was she fucking wrong. But like, it's a legacy that will be completely untouched. There will never be another one like him. And whatever he says, controversial or not, it doesn't take away from what he's accomplished. And it doesn't matter what company you like. You like WWE, you like AEW, you like TNA. None of it exists without him. And that's a harsh truth. And for the idiots in the IWC who like to think otherwise, give me one example of why I'm wrong.
Yeah, you can't get one. So for me, I'll try to get through this. So I first off, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Hulk, for everything. Literally, like I've said, 35 years I've watched pro wrestling. I can count on, less than 2 hands the amount of like Monday Night Raws that I've legitimately missed. I've never missed a WrestleMania since WrestleMania 5. WrestleMania 5. Like I said, Mega Powers. Thank you. Just thank you for your dedication to your character. Thank you for the dedication of the sport to the crowds. 320 days a year, you were traveling for a decade, probably straight, taking these bumps each and every night on a 6'7", 300-pound body. So that Hogan must pose, pal. Just thank you so much for the memories, for growing this business to what it is right now. It's not on Netflix. It's not on USA Network. It's not on Peacock. It's not on anything if Hulk Hogan doesn't exist or didn't exist. So your legacy will live on forever. Especially, I mean, not that I mean anything, but if we have anything to say about it, I mean, we're in the Monday Night Wars, everyone. We got a lot of Hulk left. And we're going to be doing a lot of that. So thank you
and we're not even at the NWO debut yet.
I know.
So we got.
Yep. Thank you for being the first performer to ever transition from being a wrestling star to a global phenomenon. Just thank you for giving everything that you had to the audience, which was me, which was George, which was everyone. You've always taught us to say our prayers, take our vitamins. Today, I pray for you and I pray for your family. Terry Bollea is dead at 71, but Hulk Hogan is immortal. And that will never, ever change. So thank you for the immortal one. Rest in peace, rest in power, Terry Bollea. So just thank you so very much. So for George Rogers, I'm Chris E. Francesco. Hulk Hogan is dead at 71 years old today here on July 24th. So wherever you are, I hope you're posing, brother. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.